Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. How is everybody? Get ready for some fireworks because my little sister from another mister is going to be with us. And we just spent about 20 minutes just ripping the universe a new one. But you know what? Because we care. It's because we care. But last episode, Allison McClintock was here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't tell her who I said. You're going to know the person. We talked about my guest today, AJ, Angela Joseph. We talked about her a lot during that episode.
Really?
And so, yes, very nice things. Enlightenment involves awareness is what we called that one with Allison. And I hadn't talked to her in a long time. And I don't think I ever knew that you two knew each other and did all these things. If I did, then I had forgotten, but it's been a long time for her, about 10 years since she's been on the radio program. So that was fantastic. She's going to be back again. But today, oh, baby, Angela, Joseph, AJ, I got a highlighted thing here, you guys, from this 2-page bio that I've had for like 10 years, because this is her 19th visit, which, by the way, pre-show, we were talking about this, and I asked her how many times. She guessed it right on the dot because she's an intuitive masterpiece. I mean, crazy. Let me read this to you, okay, you guys? Ready? This is from Angela's word. I feel deeply that I have been led on this path, and I feel so grateful to share and inspire others to find this truth within themselves to create their absolute greatest life. Now, I can testify to the fact that this is absolutely a fact. I almost dropped an F-bomb there. I got to be careful because we're doing radio. I have found my purpose and passion, and those are two of my key things in my top 4. Purpose and passion for show. I continue to manifest an amazing life by my design. I like that line. Angela is an educated and integrative nutrition, transformational hypnotherapy, massage, energy work, meditation, emotional freedom, technique, tapping, essential oils, crystals. Enough. Today, we're going to talk about
more.
and on, because she continues to learn, and that's how it works, and that's why it's all good. Okay, today we're bringing my acronym in that Angela's heard many times with me. ESPM, Detox Strategies, Lymphatic Detox, because Angela brought this up in a previous episode, so I like to circle back when she makes a suggestion like that. So that's all good. I want to welcome back to the radio program with that long introduction, AJ, Angela Joseph. Welcome back, my dear. How are you?
I am fantastic. It's great to be back too, Tom, always.
Oh my goodness. We were having so much fun doing the pre-show. Here's what we're going to do, you guys, just so you know, radio show people, podcast people. Angela and I have talked about getting her on regularly, like every 2 months. We're going to start doing that. And I'm saying it on our radio show right now, so I'm cementing it so everybody will know.
Love it.
Because Angela, the performance living aspect of, the topic that I was talking to you about with Dr. Avellino, and I want to build this out. We're going to change things up a little bit, but I think for me at this phase of my life and where my knowledge and everything, what we need to do is help people understand that their performance living is up to them and their choices. But I'm going to throw it to you, and we're going to start riffing here. Catch everybody up on what's been happening with you, and we'll circle back to that performance living thing because I know you can jump all over that one. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I won't waste a lot of time on what's been happening with me. I always tell people in a very smiley, fun way, living, loving, learning. I just keep moving forward. And boy, this last 3-4 years has given every human on this planet a little twist in their journey. And so I'm very grateful to be here, to be where I'm at. Stepping back into a higher sense of health than even before, with a lot of different facets to it. So yeah, life is really good. Still living out here on the lake and just enjoying peace and continuing to dial my lifestyle in.
Yeah, it's an interesting life that we are all part of, and I feel very, very grateful that Angela and I became friends quite a while ago now, and it was just such a magical occurrence when it all came together. So ESPM, Angela, is a close. You know the whole story behind this thing, but I'll share it with you on radio, everybody, real quick. ESPM was a acronym that I made up because I did not have a close to my live gigs when I first started in the live speaking business. And so I came up with this, and the acronym stands for, and I always ask people as a funny kind of thing, eat, sleep, poop, move. What do the letters mean? And people never get the P, of course, and I've heard all kinds of good things. But we're going to base it around this in detox strategies, because what I like to tell you guys is if any of those 4 things is not functioning well in your life, or maybe a combination of all 4, then that's where we start, because without those, we're going to have problems. Spinning that into Angela's detox strategies and lymphatic detox that she talked about. Let's start there, Angela, with just going across the board with eating and detoxing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think it's something we go deep diving into, but what I will say is that if your lymphatic system is clogged, I don't even care how good you're eating, right? Like your system's not going to be detoxing. You're not going to have any of the toxins moving. Most people don't have a real strong sense of what the lymphatic system is or what its job is. But ultimately, your lymphatic system is basically carrying so much important nutrient that it's, again, I almost don't want to go down this road too far because I'll go deep on it. I was trained in lymphatic drainage about 2.5 years ago during the pandemic. It felt right for me to do it. And it blew my mind. The ability to actually feel and sense people's lymphatic systems and the clogged nodes that they have, which everybody knows there's nodes in their neck. Everybody knows, there might be nodes in their breast, right under the breast tissue. But most people don't understand that they start at your ankles, they come up behind your knee, they go into your hips, they're in your belly, right? And basically, it's the only system in the body that does not have a pump. And that's where I really like to talk about when we're talking about lymphatic, we're talking about detox, right? It's a process, Tom. And ultimately, like when you and I talk about lifestyle, you can have a clogged lymphatic system from emotions. You can have a clogged lymphatic system from, not drinking enough water. You can have a clogged lymphatic system from processed, crap food. You can have a lymphatic problem from supplements that are bad that, I have my own opinion on certain proteins that people are taking. And so when you start talking about lifestyle and feeling your best, you really do end up starting to discuss the way your lymphatic system is functioning and if, in fact, your lymphatic systems are flowing. One of the most prominent issues that we begin to talk about with lymphatic system that we're seeing in the world today is the uptick of lymphoma, leukemia, the issues of microbiome issues, cognitive issues, mental well-being or lack thereof. So you can really go far down. But where I'll spin this in today without going deep into that, because I'd love to have a deep dive into that. When you start talking about lifestyle, like yours is the ESMP or the words that you use.
ESPM.
Yeah, mine is the same thing. I add in friends and family and faith. Okay. Because ultimately for me, all those things matter, because if we don't have a balance where we feel safe in our life, like our body's constricting and holding, and therefore our lymphatic system, and then also our blood is going to be tinged, which means then that we now have toxins moving through the body, right? So talking about this, I'm a whole foods girl. Like everything for me is whole foods. As much as you can, you don't eat from a box and you don't drink processed diet low cal. These things are just a really easy way to start talking about a simple, easy detox that's natural and slow. And everything I do is slow.
And that's the whole thing with ESPM, and I'm glad that we're going down this road. I kind of wanted to tee up Angela for that one. We're going to go to break with Angela. I'm going to carry this through because we're coming up on it. But the eating in our lives, or what we do not, is absolutely spot on when it comes to a detox of any type, lymphatic, anything. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk more about this because this is where I wanted to go with this. Detox Strategies, ESPM.
Great.
You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Ark of All and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones. at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. This week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Angela Joseph's here. We're talking ESPM Detox strategies. Going to weave it all together. So you want to check this thing out. But before we go there, I have to remind you that I am so proud to have the 3 sponsors that we have for our radio program so that we can continue to bring you guests like Angela. This segment is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial Advisor, our Ameriprise Financial Advisor, and hopefully yours someday too, because Craig he's the best. I mean, he gets it done, and I'm just so thrilled that I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff because I have my plan for the retirement zone is to do this and love my wife and my family and love myself and do all the things that we can do so that I can be a better person for all of you. And Craig is helping me do that. And I hope he can help you do that as well. 1-800-528-1355, 517-483-4893, couple of phone numbers. Craig.stiles@ampf.com is the email. Craig.stiles@ampf.com. Email. Offices are located 2400 Lake Lansing Road. Suite B is in Brilliant, or B is in Lansing, Michigan 48912. Stations that have carried us will carry us. Other portions of the Michigan Talk Network and stations outside of the Michigan Talk Network, including WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, carried us for a long time. WGIM 1240 AM is the big stick in Lansing and the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, which we're proud to be part of, thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber. WGRW 1340 AM in Grand Rapids carried us for a long time. WKLQ 1490 Muskegon, Whitehall. I'm grateful for all these stations because radio changes, formats change. I'm grateful for stations that I know of for a fact that carried us and are still carrying us. So that's why I like to mention people that perhaps we're not on their airwaves anymore. I'm just glad we were at one point in time. WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City, and of course the big stick at Michigan State University, WKAR AM 870 Sundays 5 p.m. Best time slot ever. East Lansing, Michigan, home of the Spartans. Thanks again to Craig Stiles for creating Destinary Analytics, where that pushes him over the top and gives him the tools to help us become safe in all of our savings with our retirement zone. And lastly, I want to say, remember we have 4 books on Amazon, that thing called Amazon, Generation Us being the latest and greatest. Maximize Your Quality of Life is Tom's story, plus all kinds of fun stuff, and it's kind of a popular book, so you can get that one as well. All right, Angela Joseph is back. ESPM, my acronym that I use when I do closes for live gigs. It's a takeaway. Expanding it into detox strategies, because Angela, she mentioned doing a lymphatic detox show, and we never these shows, when Angela and I have a chat, it's so spontaneous that we go on the fly. What are we feeling today? And she had mentioned last time about the lymphatic detox, so we're weaving it together. So we've got the eating portion of the ESPM model there, AJ, and you started the whole thing with all the different types of things that can cause your lymphatic system to be all jacked up: emotions, hydration, bad supplements, bad food. It could be a myriad of things that can start happening. Go ahead, continue your conversation with the eating portion, because you're you're the intuitive wellness eating expert. Go right ahead, please.
Well, I'm going to add in there too as well, which I didn't say before, if we are going to stay on this subject line. I mean, even just the air you're breathing right now, your lymphatics are being clogged. Myself talking about food right now, one of the big problems I see with people is that people don't eat enough fiber. They're not eating enough vegetables. We've got all these diets. I don't touch diets. I think diets are a setup for failure. Talking about lymphatic drainage, you can go down so many ways, but Tom, when we're talking about the food aspect with a detox, most of your listeners are going to think like, oh, I'm going to detox. I'm going to do a shake. I'm going to do, I'm going to eat light for 5 days. And ultimately that is not a detox. Ultimately that is a cleanse in your gut, right? Depending on what's going on in your system, like I said. So this is a very hard subject to get lined up on with just food. What I would say, if anybody, I'd like to discuss really quickly, a lot of people understanding that some of the symptoms they may be experiencing in their world right now, if they're considering not feeling well, brain fog, joint pain, red eyes, sluggish energy, feet issues, anything that you're just thinking to yourself, I just don't feel like myself. A lot of times what I will find, right, is this lymphatic system will ultimately build up, and then it starts to carry over its debris into the organs or into the brain. I tell people all the time, the one thing that people don't understand is that anything that's happening in that gut, right, it's a direct reflection of what's happening in the brain. And people don't understand that even though you may feel something happening in the physical body, physiologically and neurologically, it's happening in the brain. The brain is actually where the information is being received, where the synapses are popping, and then you're having the correct correlation in what the body needs to do.
Angela, excuse me, Angela, but explain that, because that's a fascinating topic, and I know you know a lot about this with the vagus nerve and how the gut and the brain, because I don't think people understand how important that connection is, and how the neurotransmitters.
I don't either.
I do. I've read about this. I've studied this, and you're spot on, because in your microbiome, you generate all these neurotransmitters that are delivered to your brain. And that's what you're saying, exactly what you're saying in simple form, but that's just the truth. And so you're right. I mean, the microbiome is in direct connection with your brain through the vagus nerve. And if your microbiome's jacked up, you're not getting good neurotransmission up to the neurotransmitters to the brain, you're going to feel like crap, and it's part of the deal. So that's part of the eating thing.
It's more than just the vagus nerve as well. When you start talking about true microbiome breakdown, we're talking about the actual wall within the gut lining. Then on top of that, we're going to talk about vagus nerve. And I would tell you of both of those, if you have any vagus nerve issues going on, which comes with trauma, which again, this is a long conversation. We could do a whole show just on trauma.
That's why you're starting to come in once every 2 months, because we need to do these shows.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful to share, because I think that our medical system is really lacking in the way that we work with the client as a whole. And I'm not saying that negatively. I take care of an internal medicine doctor, and he and I have such amazing conversations. And he says, you're in my head when I'm sitting with clients now. I think about the peace. I think about the relaxation. I think about this. And the reason I'm saying this too is, like, I don't ever want anybody to think I'm criticizing Western medicine, but it's really lacking. And it's lacking because they're exhausted. It's lacking because, primary care, we just don't have enough. It's not serving people the way that it could. So I love to be able to share these things. And one thing I'll tell people, and one thing that I've learned heavily, and I went through this myself, and I watch people. I don't care how healthy you eat. I don't care how athletic you are. I don't care how good you go to the bathroom. If your vagus nerve is triggered, you are not digesting, you are not detoxing, you are not living.
That's Angela Joseph, and you're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to The Tom Matt Show.
Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by White Law. Greatness. Jamie White is so awesome. Christine White is even more awesome. White Law, PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. They're our advocate in times of need, and we love Jamie because Jamie's a straight shooter. He's a Spartan, And I hope that doesn't dissuade anybody from the Blue Nation. But let me tell you, the guy's loyal as they can be. When you want loyal people, you want to get a hold of a guy like Jamie White and his crew, because they can help fix you up and whatever you want. They will listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. And I've said this before, and I'm not trying to just, blow smoke or anything, you guys, but to be a sponsor on our radio program, we have a lot of integrity, and it is like we got to go through a vetting process because we need you to absolutely trust us always. And we're not putting a sponsor on this program that's not the real deal. That's it, period. Okay. So White Law is going to be your advocate in times of need, and they help us. They will listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for a free consultation. Did I say free? I said free 3 times. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com. Sometimes I can be kind of funny. And I laugh at myself so much I think I'm so damn funny. whitelawpllc.com. Just ask Sandy, she'll tell you. Call 517-777-9785. I'm telling you guys, Angela's laughing because she knows. I've said to Sandy so many times, am I the funniest guy that you know? And she gives me that look of like,
I know her look. I know her look.
You are, you know the look, and it's the look of you're not even funny at all.
I know. That's why I'm finding it so humorous right now. I love it.
It's like, oh, man,
she's a
nice try. Oh my gosh, she's so awesome. All right, AJ's here, everybody. We're talking ESPM-Detox strategies and really kind of doing the lymphatic detox. We're talking about. I want to go back a little bit, Angela. In a previous segment, you were talking about the thread of Western medicine and how, let's be clear with all of this thing, because we have to be our own best advocates. Okay. Let's make this clear right now, you guys, everybody out there, that I have decided I have to be my own best advocate. And the way that I be my best advocate is by having friends like an Angela Joseph, doing the readings, doing my work, getting into the gym, eating the right way, all the things that I've learned over time why we do these shows and these videos and all this stuff that we want to help share with you. So that is in addition to Western medicine. Okay. Right, Angela? I mean,
yes.
there's a lot of, I have as you do as well, many doctor friends who are just awesome
Absolutely.
professionals.
Absolutely.
But there's so much more to it, and we know so much more now. So take it from there, girl. I mean, we could go down the astrological pipeline.
Oh my gosh.
So, that's a whole nother thing. But not that. That's we will. That's not for today though. Today it's the lymphatic detox ESPM. So you gave us some of the eating, some of that stuff. We started to talk about the microbiome. I want to jump into the sleep portion of the lymphatic detox and what people can. What do people need to understand when it comes to the detox between the cleanse, the detox, which are two different things, as you've already said, but how the lymphatic detox and getting it better can affect the S portion of the ESPM model, the sleep.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, 3 out of 4 humans I know don't sleep. Okay. And
that's scary.
What's that?
That's scary.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've had like a few weeks where that's happened to me at times. And I don't know if I'm a mystic or a madman. I mean, I literally don't know how anybody could function that way.
How did you get out of it?
Oh, dear God, here we go.
Let's go.
So as an intuit, I'm very connected, and I was waking up every morning, whole nother convo. I was showing a few things, and I just had to be up during those hours. So it's a whole nother conversation. That I was so confused because I sleep. I'm like, what is going on?
So there were things going on in your life that were affecting.
No. I was literally being woken up at a very early hour when I was supposed to connect in meditation, and I get messages and different things of that sort.
Gotcha.
And it was a timeline. It was in September, and it just was a really busy, and I was waking up at 3 a.m. every morning. And I'll tell you what, Tom, after a week of that, I literally was, like I said, I didn't know if I was a mystic or a madman. So anyways, it's like stating that, like, I meet people and they're functioning and they're proud to tell me that they get 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, how good they do. And I just look at them I just look at them, right? Because I just want them to see that there's no reaction from me on that. And it's amazing what they'll say after that. Those quiet moments of silence can make people very uncomfortable. And then they end up spewing out the truth of really how they feel. Anyways, when you're talking about sleep time, you're talking about the regeneration of our cellular health. You're talking about the release and restoration of our detox organs, the liver, the kidneys, the bladder, the colon itself. You're talking about your brain being rested and being restored and relaxing. And I'm very much about, I like to be like this, right? And I tell people all the time, like, this world gets so excited. It's like, oh, I'm up here, I'm up here, I'm up here, I'm up here. I got to stay up here. Or it's like, I'm way down here, I'm down here, I'm down here. I like to live here because I love to have those moments up here, right? And then also if I have these times down here, I always have this like moderated space that I know is real, that I know is my set point. And if I'm sitting there, I know everything's good, right? If I'm up too high for too long, I know I'm out of balance. If I'm down too low, I'm out of balance. I try to coach that with clients too, especially in today's world with all of the disassociation, different things. Anyways, sleep is a fundamental. Sleep is a fundamental because and I'm going to go beyond lymphatic here because I think sleep is so underrated and undiscussed when we talk about health of your relationships, of your sexuality, of your health, of your the way that you show up at work, the way that you show up with your friends, the way you show up with your children, the way you show up with your lover. Like sleep is everything. We show up for yourself, right? And so when you talk about the lymphatic drainage, and you know me like this, I'm a very holistic human. I can't even talk about detox and just say, well, it's just lymphatic, right? The detoxing of the lymphatic system is what leads us into a much more vital, vibrant life, right? Your blood's flowing well because people don't understand that a lot of the time, people think that blood is the source of real nutrition in the body. Like that's the life. It's actually the lymph. Right. And so our lymphatic system is truly, it's so important because if our lymph's not clean, our blood's not clean. Right. So going there, I tell people all the time, I want to give this little tool to people if they're listening to this and they get interested at all. I'm like, yeah, I try to go to bed. I can't sleep. It's, oh, screw it. They live off coffee, right? I can't sleep. I got to stay up till 10. I got to watch this. I started going to bed at about 8:30 in the darker times. And it has become such a gift. And I'm so incredibly grateful. And I tell people all the time, instead of saying like, oh my God, that's so early, or, but I wake up at 4:35 in the morning too. And so I have these uninterrupted, amazing hours, whether I'm reading, whether I'm spending time with my animal, whether I'm, making food, working out, whatever it is. That time is now my time. And I think it's such a reward for disciplining yourself to make your sleep a priority. So as we're talking about drainage, lymphatic drainage, lymphatic detox, I think it's important we can talk about like the whys too and the practicality of it. I've never met a person that hasn't slept in a month that's kind. It just, they can't be.
Let me tell you, I'm gonna stop you there because you're on such a great roll. We're gonna come up to break here. Angela, just catch your breath, take a couple of breaths here, and when we come back from break, everybody, the energy picks up. I'm telling you, if you've never heard Angela Joseph on this radio program, this is her 19th visit. Stick around because it's coming. It's my time, as she said, and I underlined and put an exclamation mark right next to it. AJ's here. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Fourth segment of Tom Matt Show is sponsored by the third of the Three Musketeers of Great Guys, sponsors of this radio program, Brock Fletcher. Brock Fletcher, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty, where trust is the middle name. And again, full disclosure, all of our sponsors, we utilize their services. Okay? Let's just be crystal clear there that's how much we trust all three of our sponsors, and they're just the best. And the bomb, and I hope you guys tell them that you heard it on the Tommy Show, and help us out, because that's why people help us to put this show on. If you need something, if you need real estate assistance like we did, what we did is we got a hold of Brock. Call 517-853-6408 or the magic number 517-303-3262. Go to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles like we did through Brock, who was he was our seller's agent for Big House Holt. You guys all know that story. We've talked about that story a million times. And it's just like, again, like Craig, like Jamie, when you need these professionals to help you, like Angela Joseph, the people that really have studied all of the things that they study, go to the experts, get their help, get their assistance, and then go do what you're good at. Save yourself the hassle. Unless you feel compelled to teach yourself everything about everything, which I'm not so much into that. I know what I can do now, and I want to do more of what I like doing. So that's what I think you guys want to do too. Let Brock help you with all these decisions. Sell your home, like I said, without the hassles. Most agents spend an average of about $400 a month on marketing. Brock spends thousands. Part of it comes to us to help us with the sponsoring of this show, and we are very, very grateful. He does that because he wants to have the marketing in place before you list with him. So many episodes, reality of real estate, he owns it. He's the best guy around, and he's another Spartan. I mean, it's just can't say enough about him. So please check out Brock Fletcher, 517-303-3262. And of course, all of our sponsors are at the bottom of our homepage, TomMattShow.com. Hit them up, click right on through, and away you go. AJ's back. We're getting revved up even more than we always do. Talking ESPM was the top of the model. Detox strategies, lymphatic system. We've gone through a little bit of eating. It's very challenging to do all of these concisely, you guys. So
Yes.
We're going over this high altitude eating, the sleeping. Now we get into the P of the model, my ESPM model, and the P that people never get when I ask them, what does that mean? It's pooping. And we've talked a little bit about this, but it's so important to understand, and I'm serious about this, when we've talked about a tad about the microbiome. But again, the lymphatic system and the detoxification of your body, if you don't poop well, you got to start there. Angela, please carry on. Talk about that, would you?
Tom, I don't know if we've ever discussed this. Are you aware that the actual digestive system from the oral to the anal is not considered part of the human body, but it's actually a pathway through the human body?
Is that right? I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you told me
It
that.
actually does not connect to any organs other than the stomach, right? And then into the small intestine, large intestine. All the nutrition from the colon goes through the blood barrier of the microbiome, which is why it's so incredibly important, right?
Right.
So when you start talking about somebody, feces, which I talk feces all the time. I think if you're not, you're really out of tune with yourself as a human, yourself as being a performance human. You have to look at your feces. You should be looking at it every day. You should be looking at the shape of it. You should be looking at the color of it. Hands down, I don't think that this is like brain science. If I tell you, if you're not going to the restroom 1 or 2 times a day, there's a problem. And it's like a sewage system, and you're getting sewage pumped back into the blood that gets taken in through the microbiome. Any human that is not going to the bathroom, I can guarantee you, has a horrible leaky gut, which is the precursor to MS, any autoimmune disease, brain disorders, mental illness, cancers. So you cannot talk enough about how important making sure that your movements are consistent is, to the point that I even suggest to some people, if you're not going to the bathroom, you haven't gone to the bathroom in a few days, you need to maybe take a day where you're just doing Epsom salt in your water, lemon, we got to get this moving, right? You might as well on some level, and I'm being a little extreme here, but you might as well have sepsis. You have nothing but toxins now in your system, which what are they going to do? They're going to back up. And the last thing you want is to have those pumping in through your lymphatic system and into your internal organs. So, that's how important feces are. And you should be going to the bathroom. And I brag about my movements. I'm incredibly proud of my movements. Like literally, I speak incredibly real about it. So yeah, I think going to the bathroom is one of the number one things. I'll tell you, Tom, for me though, and I'm going to throw this in because you're talking about that. Anybody listening again, if this is stirring their curiosity about how they could start to assist themselves in feeling better, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you dial these little things in, just looking at them and becoming more aware, you're going to feel better about your health and well-being, right? Because you're going to turn on an awareness that wasn't there. And I think it's a really sexy thing when somebody is committed to taking care of themselves, right? Again, I always say, like, if you're taking good care of yourself, you're going to take care of the people around you well. You're going to take care of your responsibilities well. You're going to have pride in your world because you have pride in yourself. It's not an egotistical thing. It's not a, righteous thing. It's literally, and I'm a spiritual woman, and you know that. And so I consider this body a vessel. I'm a passenger in this body, and it's what allows me to experience everything on this beautiful physical world that God has given us to experience. I won't be able to experience the touch of my lover if I am not feeling good. I won't be able to sensorily understand what a look of endearment means. I won't enjoy the flavors of regular natural food if my system isn't functioning well. I won't be able to sleep and function and learn and retain information, right? So you start talking about this on a level of embodiment and wholeness. And for me, there's no other way to live. So water is something I would tell everybody right now, if they're looking at wanting to feel better in their world through detox, through sleeping, through eating, everything we're talking, movement, relationship, get your water up. Because your water is the precursor, and we are 70 to 75% water in this human vessel, right? And so when we start talking about any beginnings of detox, I don't care if we're talking about trauma. I don't care if we're talking about constipation. I don't care if we're talking about leaky gut, no sleep. You have got to get your water dialed in. It's the first thing I start with clients, and we don't move forward until you have that dialed in, because there's no reason to. It's not going to work. You have got to have that water.
I have been taught, and just as a number, you guys, and Angela, correct me if you've had other training, but half your body weight in ounces is what I have been taught is your minimum. So use 200 pounds to make it a round number. Okay.
Yeah.
200 pounds, 100 ounces. So that's a little bit less than a gallon. So just think about just doing a gallon, because a gallon is 128 ounces. 100 ounces. You tell people that and they go, what? And I'm like, minimum. Minimum.
Oh my gosh.
Minimum.
Period. I have a client right now. I'm so proud of her. We've been working together for 14 months. I still don't have her to half of her weight in ounces. And we know we're working on the resistance she has too. There's trauma, right? There's trauma.
Right. Sure.
Right.
There's something holding her back.
Right. But we're finally at this point where I can be, in a very constructive, critical way with her. And now instead of her taking it personal, wanting to kick me, right, we giggle about it. Right. So we're working through this together. As I keep saying to her, like, it's the easiest thing you could do, and it's the one thing you won't do. And she's like, I know, I think it's probably because it is so easy. So it is a comical thing, know? And then I have clients who are like, well, I drink iced tea and I drink coffee. I'm like, well, that has caffeine in it, Right. So if you're going to do that, that's fine. But then you still need to act. You need to get that water in. So
you got to get rid of the caffeine. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to carry this through, AJ, because we're coming up on it, coming up on break here. We're talking ESPM. Eat, Sleep, Poop, Move, detox strategies, lymphatic detox. we're going to hit the movement here when we come back for the final segment of the show. Angela Joseph's been a really fun show. Love listening to Angela. I just riff. I hope you guys know what you're listening to, because you're hearing gold with Angela, because she's speaking 100% truth. 100% truth. All of this stuff that she's sharing with us is, I follow all the things that she's saying, plus, because I know that it works. Once you know it works, what is the problem? This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. Remember, our website and the way you want to contact us, TomMattShow.com, can't be much easier. And it's laid out really simple. All 12 categories are there, although we're going to pivot on some of the categories. A couple of the categories are going to get updated. We're going to definitely be doing the performance living, which Angela's going to be moving over and helping us with moving forward here next for forever. And because we're both all about performance living, but that website's super solid. Bottom of the website, bottom of the homepage is where our sponsors and friends are located. Their links. Go there. You know, we always have in the recaps of all the episodes, there's always a little recap with links to our guests. Go there. You look up Angela. Angela's all over the place. Type in her name in the search box. You'll find her. She's in mental health advocacy. She's in nutrition. She's in the movement. She's all over the place because she covers a vast array of topics. Angela, how would you like people to connect with you, and tell about the services too? Because I why lifestyle matters on your website's pretty clear in all of the 6 boxes that you have there, but everything's important. Very important. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah. If anybody is interested in getting to know me, you can get on my Instagram. It is The Intuitive Lifestyle. If you would like to check out my website, it's my name, www.angelaandjoseph.com. And you can reach out to me through either of those. And I will tell you that I feel just absolutely blessed to be able to do this work. I tell people all the time, how blessed am I that I make a living and get to live my life from helping people feel good. You know, it's humbling. It's humbling. So I'm incredibly grateful. Always incredibly grateful to be here too, Tom.
Well, to be a role model like you are, and you walk your own walk, that's why you're so successful. Because again, we use ourselves as our own laboratory. Everybody, Angela and I are both exactly the same way. And the things that we talk about are the things that we do. It makes it easy. I mean, if you can walk your own walk, then talking your talk is simple.
Best compliment I get from people, which I get it a lot, is Angela walks her talk. And it's for me, my integrity means more to me than most things. When I started doing this work, I didn't want to do this work. I was climbing business things and God wanted me doing it. And I said, God, you want me to do this stuff? I will, but I'm not marketing and throwing my face out there like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And 20 years later, here I am. And I couldn't be more grateful. And I'm just incredibly grateful. And I know I'm not even near done. I would tell you, I'm just really getting started. So
that's the way you got to live your life. You must live your life, everybody. When you're in the refirement zone, when you walk with your heart in the refirement zone, even if you're in your stable career, but if you walk with your heart with a refirement kind of light in your heart, and you're always thinking forward, you always want to look for that self-improvement, just getting a little bit better each day. You're going to be fine. You're going to be good. It's so incremental. Don't rush the process. Just stay steady with the work. And it gets us right into the ESPM model where we're going to the next part. And you want to throw some stuff out there about relationships too. Movement and relationships and movement.
Yeah.
They're important.
just really just talking about the movement piece, I'll start there because you've said it. I tell everybody it's a marathon, not a sprint. And the minute you find yourself sprinting, you got to slow yourself down and ask yourself, where are you trying to get so fast? One thing I've known in life and I've witnessed now at my age is that people that rush shit, excuse my language. Oh my goodness. Right. People that rush, well, that's what it ends up being, right? So excuse my language for that, because it tends to be a literal thing where I truly believe when you rush something, you're never going to get the quality out of it. When you allow yourself to go through the process and move with the lessons you're getting with it and growing and adapting and becoming better, it's just a continual climb, right? And there's no top. It's not a top that you're looking for. It's just a continual climb of, I know I can continue to improve. This is important to me that I'm taking care of myself, so that, again, now I'll dive into relationship stuff. For me, the relationships that you keep, they're making you or breaking you. And for years, I was very much about, making sure, it's all about you. You got to take care of yourself. Don't let anybody, have strong boundaries, which I still am. But I've come to really recognize, Tom, I think when you're talking about relationships now, the more important thing is to talk about boundaries and allowing yourself to feel vulnerable and open and loving to those people who add value to the life that you're living, and to really become aware of what that means, which I think so many people allow what I call, vampires into their life, or ticks, right? They come in and they just take. Again, may not be their intention, but you have to be able to continue to ask yourself, is this relationship serving me, right? Or is it draining me? And having the courage and the conviction to handle that with grace and care, in the way that you will remove certain things from your world, and you will be open and allow those valuable relationships to assist you and build you. Those are the relationships that continue to keep us motivated. And to go back to movement too, getting your body moving is one of the greatest therapies that there is in this world, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Right. We talked very briefly earlier about the lymphatic system being the only system in the body that doesn't have a motor. Right. And so when we think about that, we think about our ancestors and where we come from, Tom, they were gauging anywhere from 10 to 20,000 footsteps a day. It was easy for them. And that's why when we look back at our ancestors, they were eating whole foods, they were walking, they're slim, they're healthy, right? They're strong. The warriors are strong, right? The women are taking care of everything. It was just a natural lifestyle. And movement was one of the number one things. So when I talk about movement with people, you have to move. You have to get your blood moving. You have to pump that liver. You have to pump that lymphatic pump, which begins to get everything moving. It gets your heart increased. It gets the blood moving through all of the systems. It gets your brain moving. We've got to detox that brain. That brain stores so many toxins. People don't understand the fatty tissue of the brain is a magnet for any sort of anything. And movement is another therapy that I use huge with people. When you start talking about doing the detox, movement is a must. I've never met a human that's stagnant, that doesn't have movement in their life, that feels good. Never. And if they do, they're intellectuals, so they're not connected to their body. So they don't even know what their body's doing. That's a whole nother conversation we could have one day, because there's two types of people in the world. Right. You have an intellectual, and then you have the human who's, in their body, they're grounded. And most of the intellectuals that I know and see, I love them. I love what they bring to the table. But a lot of them can end up in really bad places early on in life because they weren't aware, conscious, or in tune with their physical being.
You get so focused. I mean, they're so laser-like focused. It's like the genius of the brain. It's just because they don't. You see it. Their people are so they're so utterly brilliant.
Absolutely.
That they just are so hyper focused on what they're so brilliant at. I've seen it myself. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's for sure. Yeah. Hey, I want to get a takeaway from you, because we got about 3 minutes to go here, and we've covered some good. We've covered so much good territory as usual. What would you like to give a couple minute takeaway to for this episode, Angela? What would you like to talk about?
Well, I guess if we're staying on the subject line, I think right now in the springtime, it's a great time for people to be assessing what they want to change in their life as we begin this spring season, as we plant our seeds of new life. I tend to use seasons, and being in Michigan, it works really well. Ask yourself right now, what are some small seeds that you can plant in your garden of your best life? And may I offer you, get your water intake up, do citrus foods, possibly consider, adding more green vegetables into your diet. Simple little things, going for a walk in the morning sun or in the evening, right? Looking at your partner in the eyes when you're having a conversation, reconnecting to humans. This is a great time of year to really look at some things and getting really honest with yourself about what isn't serving you, what is serving you, and how you can begin to very slowly and with deep intention dial that in and create a life that begins to feel really good for you.
Share all the contact info again and what the services that you provide, because I've got a second here, everybody. I want to give you why lifestyle matters. These are just the titles from Angela's website. Now, then I want her to go ahead and share her contact again real quick. Self-mastery, intuitive and practical, many, many years of experience. This is coming from her website, Why Lifestyle Matters. Holistic lifestyle approach, detox work. What have we been talking about this whole episode? And what we always talk about with Angela, reconnecting you. Give it to us one more time, baby. Tell everybody what you do, who you are, where they can find you, and then we'll jump out.
Well, what I will say to you of everything you've heard today, when I meet any client, I meet them where they are. I do not show up the same with every single client. I show up for you where you're at. We find a way to get you stepping forward into your best life, whatever that may be, right? I'm 20 years in. I'm incredibly confident. I'm incredibly able and willing to do the work with you, take you by your hand, be your friend during your process of changing your life. Saying that, if you want any information on me, you can go to my website, www.angelaandjoseph.com. A lot of people follow me on Instagram at The Intuitive Lifestyle, and there's more than enough ways for you to get a hold of me in those two spaces.
What else can I say except always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Angela Joseph, we talk about this all the time. She's going to become much more regular, even though that she has been in the past. Thank you to my beautiful wife, Sandy Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Jamie White. Thank you so much for doing all that. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, I want to thank and acknowledge the awesomeness of Mitch Anderson. We're out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.